everybody, and welcome to CFP Today. It is Friday, June 13th. Friday the 13th. You know what that means? Going down to Port Dover. But first, I wanted to be able to bring this to you. Of course, it's brought to you by Fox 40. It is, of course, fox40shop.com, where you can get everything that you need, coaching boards, whistles, all of that good stuff against fox40shop.com. Thank you to them for supporting Canadian football perspective, as always. Today, I wanted to talk about a press release that came out yesterday, officially. Got wind of a couple of these names. I guess it would have been a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, specifically Jermaine Copeland, because I was covering the Calgary Stampeders game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats in week number 1. I have the Calgary Stampeders against the Toronto Argonauts again coming up here with Paul LaPolice and Matthew Shinetti at BMO Field. It will be on Saturday, so tomorrow, 4 p.m., before the Tiger Cats and the Rough Riders play in the 7 p.m. Back end of the QEW doubleheader, which, as I mentioned yesterday in the podcast, some people not huge fans of. But the Hall of Fame class gets announced for 2025. Just read through some of these quickly for you and then give a couple of impressions, and just want to make sure everybody is aware of who's going into the class, because these are the legends of the game and they deserve as much love as we can possibly give them. I'm hoping in the broadcast we'll be able to give them plenty of love, especially considering that there are a couple of tie-ins here with Calgary and Toronto. But Brian Chew is the first one that was listed, drafted by Montreal, second round, 18th overall in 1996. Former Washington State Cougar, played his entire 13-year career with the Owls, in addition to capturing the 2002 Most Outstanding Offensive Lineman Award. Chew was named to 9 All-Division teams and 7 All-CFL teams. It's crazy. Across his career, the team amassed a 152-81-1 record while making the playoffs in each season. He's a Vancouver native, played in 7 Grey Cup championships, winning in 2002 and 2009. If you have a chance, search it out on CFL Social as well. Brian Chew walking into Vancouver College, giving essentially an acceptance speech in front of his team. But it's a tremendous video, and also he looks like he is in the best friggin' shape. Like I'm 34 this weekend, and I am jealous of how good Brian Chew looks. Unreal when these offensive linemen go through transformations at the end of their career. Next up is Jermaine Copeland, of course, receiver. Charismatic player, 11 seasons from 2001 to 2011. 168 games with Montreal, Calgary, Toronto. He is from Harriman, Tennessee, registered 5 1,000-plus receiving yard seasons, including a stretch from 2003 to 2009, where he averaged 1,173 yards per season. Like that is, Tim White is going for 4 straight years of 1,000 plus. The only other player to do that in Tiger Cats history, I believe, was Darren Flutie. Had that stat last week. The idea of going on a stretch like that from 03 to 09 where you average 1,100 yards, pretty sick. He is one of 18 players in CFL history to reach the 10,000 yard mark. He just crossed it with 10,115. And he added 622 catches, 75 touchdowns. 75 touchdowns for Jermaine Copeland, but 3 All-Division teams, 2 All-CFL teams, and of course lifted the Grey Cup in 2002 with the Owls, and again in 2008 with the Stamps. Next up is Scott Flagel, defensive back. Played 163 games over a 10-year career, 1982 to 1991 with the hometown Blue Bombers, then Calgary, Hamilton, and Ottawa. 60 defensive takeaways, including 40 interceptions, 20 fumble recoveries. He is 12th all-time. Also had 7 blocked kicks in his career, which is pretty amazing. But Grey Cup champion in 1984. Daryl Hall helped revolutionize the linebacker position with his ability to drop back into coverage just as easily as he blitzed. It says the CFL press release, in 8 seasons with Calgary, 90 to 92, and then 96 to 2000, 143 games, 50 tackles per year, en route to 546 total, as well as 23 sacks, 36 tackles for loss, and 16 interceptions. And again, 2 All-CFL teams played for the Grey Cup in 4 occasions and won it in 92 and 98. In the builder category, Glenn Johnson goes in 24 years as a CFL on-field official, 416 games, 11 Grey Cups. He was named the head referee of the championship contest in 05, 07, 09, and 2012. In 2013, he decided to give his expertise to a place in the league office as vice president of officiating, and 3 years later, Winnipeg native was elevated to senior vice president of football to help oversee the product on the field. He spent 3 decades across the CFL in various roles. Next up, Frank McChrystal, also in the builder category. 1984 became the head coach of the Regina Rams, competed in the CJFL, winning the Canadian Bowl on 7 occasions. He continued the program when it transitioned to collegiate play with the University of Regina in 1999 until his retirement at the conclusion of the 2014 season. And of course, it's been around hundreds and hundreds of players that have been in and around or adjacent to all things Canadian Football League, and a huge impact on the game. And the last one for you, in terms of players and builders, Javon Olafoye, North Carolina Central is where he went. He was one of these tough offensive line. I think it's kind of cool that Brian Chu and Javon Olafoye are going in the same class, because they both just have this kind of stoic, like just always there and always consistent and always playing at a high level. 156 games, earned 7 nods to the All-Division team, 6 to the All-CFL team. He's from Detroit originally, 3-time finalist for Most Outstanding Offensive Lineman, and got the award in 2012. He raised the Grey Cup in 2011 as well as a member of the Lions. So that is your class. Javon Olafoye, Frank McChrystal, Glenn Johnson, Daryl Hall, Scott Flagel, Jermaine Copeland, and Brian Chu. Now, the headliners for most people in this class, I think, understandably so, are going to be Brian Chu and Jermaine Copeland. I know for me, and again, this is somebody who's 34, so when Brian Chu was playing, he was drafted in 1996, I'm 5 years old, I start to enjoy the Canadian Football League and watch more and more of it as I was kind of getting up towards age 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. By the time I was in high school, I'm playing high school football. I'm a diehard. I'm watching every single Friday night football, when I got off from my part-time job working at Pizza behind the cash. And Brian Chu was just a rock and so consistent. And I still have CFL books from the early 2000s that I just think of that black visor and the 68 and those Montreal uniforms. And to me, he's one of the iconic players of that era. So I'm extremely happy to see him going into the Hall of Fame. And then I'm very much in the same way. I just wanted to mention Jermaine Copeland. To me, there are really good receivers, and then there are elite receivers. We've obviously had that discussion throughout this offseason when it comes to all things going on with Geno Lewis and his move to Ottawa. And to me, Jermaine Copeland always felt like an elite receiver. And the numbers that I shouted out earlier, those 03 to 09 with 1,100 receiving yards on average, that's obviously very special stuff. But it's more so the presence they carried themselves with, because that was kind of in terms of NFL, the Chad Ochocinco, Terrell Owens era of I could say that it's the diva receiver era. I don't think there's been a definitive era, but certainly those guys had the type of swagger and notoriety in the National Football League that the second that you saw, whether it be the Dallas Cowboys logo or the Cincinnati Bengals logo, you're going, oh man, that's going to be, that's an Ocho Cinco game. It's going to be crazy because he just brings a different type of juice to the game. Jermaine Copeland felt like that kind of player for me when I was younger, and carried himself with a kind of an energy that was infectious. And certainly when you go back and you watch some of the highlights, his catch radius, if you were to do kind of a retrospective sports science type thing and look at Jermaine Copeland and his true natural raw ability, it's pretty wild that he can get a bigger opportunity in the National Football League. So the CFL, I think, got lucky by having Jermaine Copeland around for as long as they did. But very, very deserving Hall of Fame class. Excited to see them go in. Don't think I have the Hall of Fame game in Hamilton this year, but I will likely go down to the induction ceremony the evening before if they are doing it at that time, and just enjoy being able to hear some of those speeches, because they should be some very, very good ones, you would have to think, based on the personalities that are involved in all of this. So that's going to do it for CFP today, for this week as well. I hope everybody enjoys week number 2. Time for me to dig in and finish up everything that I am doing to get ready for Calgary in Toronto. Hopefully we get a good game down at BMO Field. But thank you to Fox 40 for supporting. Fox40shop.com is the place to go. And we will talk to you coming up on Monday as we recap week number 2 in the Canadian Football League.